It was like, I have a dream that people will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see color. And it's like, that's not the point. Like, and if you don't see color, you're going to miss so many injustices, or you're going to just be like, it's just another way of kind of dismissing it in a sense.
Hi, my name is Heather Louise and I am a mental health counselor. I am passionate about all things related to mental health, with a special interest in improving self-esteem for Black women and healing racial trauma. So if you are interested in that sort of content, please subscribe because I post videos every week. Today I will be sharing a few tips on how to talk about race if you are in an interracial relationship. And this video was requested by a couple people, and I do think that this is so important, especially during this time. For those of you who don't know, I have been in an interracial relationship for 3 years. My boyfriend will be joining in a little bit later in this video to share his perspective. These tips that I will be sharing is based off of my experience and my relationship with dating a white man, so a Black woman and a white man. As I had mentioned in my previous videos, about 99% of my dating experience has been outside of my race due to living in a predominantly white area. A lot of the Black men that I came across either just were not interested in Black women, or honestly, I was related to. But I was just exposed to a lot of different people who did not look like me, so it was just an option for me. And I have had many years of talking with my partners about race, and in my relationship now, we talk about race a lot. If you have not seen my video about my online dating experience, I will link it up above. But in that video, I shared the OkCupid study where they tested the users' racial dating preferences and found that Black women were the least desirable across all racial and ethnic backgrounds. Therefore, because we're found to be the least desirable, it is crucial for us to focus on our self-esteem and improving our self-love. But also, it can be helpful to open yourselves up to dating outside your race. In the study, it says that about a really small percentage of Black men are really all for Black love. I know it can be scary to date outside your race, as it comes with many different challenges that you don't experience when you're dating someone who looks like you. Race issues will definitely become evident even if you try to ignore them. I'm sure that maybe a stranger may comment about your racial differences, or maybe even a friend or a family member. Also, it's natural that you would be able to have open conversations about things that are important to you. And as a Black woman, and for all Black people, with everything that is going on in the world and has been going on for many years, of course you would want to talk about racial injustice that is happening. And it's so important to want to turn to your partner, someone who's supposed to support you, and talk about these things. Navigating how to talk about race in white spaces can definitely be challenging. Often when I bring up these conversations, I am definitely met with denial, resentment, defensiveness, feelings of being dismissed. Definitely people are starting to become uncomfortable when I bring up these situations, and oftentimes I am even left with feeling guilty for bringing it up because somehow I offended someone, and it's just really hard. So the question is, how do I have these conversations in white spaces? And most importantly, how do I talk to my partner about racial issues when they come up? According to Robin DiAngelo, an author and an American educator on race and whiteness studies, it is difficult to have these conversations in white spaces due to their white fragility. White fragility involves a misunderstanding and denial of the true nature of racism in American society. It is the discomfort and defensiveness when a white person is confronted by information about racial injustice and racial inequality. Many white people are unconscious to their white privilege, which shows up in laws, institutions, policies, and social norms. D'Angelo, in her book White Fragility, talks about assumptions that you might come across when you attempt to talk about race issues with white people. So, for example, you are at a dinner party with your partner and their family, and let's say his uncle might say something racist. The uncle might say to you, oh, you know, you speak so well, you're so poised, or might say something like, really, your name is Heather? I thought it would be... Your partner may excuse their uncle's behavior by saying, he didn't intend to be racist, which kind of means his words and actions just can't possibly be, which just shuts down any further conversation. You get this sort of response from your partner because of a lot of white people view a racist person to be as someone who is violent and outwardly hateful towards Black people. Therefore, their uncle, who has never physically harmed a Black person or said a racial slur, can't possibly have been offensive or have said something racist. Also, when challenged with the idea that someone that they know and love, or maybe even themselves, had said something to be offensive, your partner may think that you are saying that they are a bad person and that they're immoral, which honestly can make anyone feel uncomfortable if that's how they are taking it. However, no one is perfect, and you, like myself, have done many things, I'm sure, in your lifetime that you may not be proud of. But that doesn't make us a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad person. But according to D'Angelo's studies, it is impossible for someone to grow up in a systemically racist society and be free from any racial prejudice or any racial bias. Doesn't matter your background, if you're white, Black, anywhere in between, no one is free from racial bias. So the question is, what do we do about this? For starters, making it a priority to talk about these issues in your relationship should be one of your #1 things that you guys need to work on and try to tackle. Here is a way that my boyfriend and I tackled this challenge in our relationship. Okay, so this is my boyfriend, Dan. So how would you say that we talk about race in our relationship?
That's a good question, Heather. I have to let go a lot of assumptions I might have, or maybe even like that I wasn't aware of. It's also important to like kind of check your ego.
Yes.
Like, there might be things where your first inclination is to get very like defensive. I feel like if I do that, like you're not gonna want to really talk to me.
Yeah.
Like you'll be like, oh, I'm wasting my time here. Maybe I have something to learn here, or more importantly, like what assumptions did I have that I need to maybe get rid of.
But I also do think it's like important that like the Black person in the relationship does not feel like they need to educate their partner about certain things.
It should be like a conversation, not not just like a lecture. Like there's like, I need to do kind of my homework too, you know, or and like ask questions too. But like a lot of it is like, I might need to just listen, you know, and like make sure that your feelings are being addressed and you're feeling heard, not just like, I'm like, okay, can I speak now? You know, like the best way is to, okay, tell me about it, or what can I do differently, or you know what I mean? Just be receptive. And I read White Fragility, I feel like that was really helpful. Yeah. Right, like being informed, I guess, you know, not just being sheltered and closed off. So people will take the spark notes or kind of condense Martin Luther King's speech down to one line. It was like, I have a dream that people will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Oh, I'm colorblind, I don't see color. And it's like, that's not the point. Like, and if you don't see color, you're gonna miss so many injustices, or you're gonna just be like, it's just another way of kind of dismissing it in a sense. You can't just say, I don't see color, I was raised to see everyone the same way. That's not as good as being like, maybe there are systemic like racial injustices, you know, and like just saying they don't exist and, you know, being an ostrich and putting your head in the sand, that's not really helpful. I mean, it's kind of like what I said, like people will get defensive, and I think like it alluded to like white tears, which is very like kind of Emmett Till related, you know, like, yeah, it maybe I said something that was racially insensitive, and if you call me out on that, it's like I feel like you're saying I'm a bad person,
right?
And my gut reaction is going to be stop, or like I'm the victim here and start crying, and then you gain like sympathy in a way, and it's like you almost need to just like kind of swallow that emotion, and it's not about me. Yeah, maybe I got called out and it's uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean just like I'm automatically the victim. If I'm like I don't have any of these prejudices, or I don't have a biased view, like that's not going to want to make, like in this instance, you want to talk to me, you know what I mean? In fact, it's going to be more difficult because you'll find that I'm not receptive.
Other ways that are helpful is to find people who are supportive of your relationship. You cannot control how people might feel about your relationship, but you can control whether or not you decide to distance yourself away from those people who bring unnecessary drama or hate into your relationship. I know that this can be difficult on both sides because maybe those people might be your friends or your family members, but it is so important to prioritize those people who are supportive of your relationship and just want you to be happy regardless of who you are with. You can also use humor to cope with the stress of prejudice and discrimination when appropriate. Having a similar sense of humor can bond any two people together. I personally use this tip when talking to my Black friends or family members about race issues that are happening, and it is no different in my relationship. Lastly, I do think it is so important to create a positive image of yourself and other people. When you feel good about your race and your partner's racial identity, and view yourself and others as neither all good or all bad, then you're more likely to have a healthy and long-lasting relationship with your partner. Now, I know that there's a lot more to say about this topic, and this topic is just so complex, and I'm definitely just speaking in my own experience with primarily dating white men and being in a relationship with a white man. So I know that there's a lot more to be said about this, and I will probably be creating videos on how you can have more conversations and everything that is involved with having these conversations in your relationship. Please let me know your experience with having these conversations in your relationships in the comments below. I would love to hear from you, regardless of who you are, what your background is, if you are a Black woman dating a white man, or in some other form of interracial relationship. I would love to hear what you have to say. And again, if you like this video, please let me know by subscribing, and I will talk to you soon. So how would you say that we talk about race?
I guess with a sense of humor. How do we talk about race in our relationship?
So how would you say that we talk about race in our relationship? Why are you talking? So
it's easy to get defensive, I guess, you know what I mean? But it's not like a personal attack, and it's better to be like empathetic and try to understand.
Exactly.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all, folks.